Hello? Sorry for the delay, guys. Alright, now we're on board with ALR Denise and the Haas. Here into the hairpin. Pits. It's a good first sector from ASIF Junior. Take some curve into that turn over there. Gonna be late on the brakes here. On board with Ryan here in the McLaren. See if he can pick up some time in sector 2 here. Ooh, and he spins out, but manages to recover safely there. Qualifying pace seemed to be interrupted there. Currently in P10. And about second and 1/100th off of P9. Alright, and that is about wrapping up qualifying. In first place, we have Mega Mike in the Red Bull, who does lead our Drivers' Championship. In second, we have Okiki in the Ferrari. Behind him, 3/10 of a second behind that, is Job in the Ferrari as well. Wheels of Steel comes in fourth to qualifying. Maybe Lab and the Williams can move up a place here in qualifying. Into turn 14 here, last stretch, and he's pitted in. Hungary and Monaco, 2 races today, 25% races. Quite similar, in fact, in the sense that they're extremely, extremely hard to overtake. I believe Max Verstappen has the fastest lap here ever, the 1:17. Fernando Alonso did win his first ever race here at the Hungaroring, and as a result, it became his favorite track. But however, in 2006, in the wet race here, as we all know, he also happened to spin out and end up losing his first place position, and so did Michael Schumacher. So Jenson Button would come and take the win in that race here in Hungary, in that first time wet race. Okay, with qualifying coming to a close, we see Mega Mike taking pole. Not surprising there as he leads our Drivers' Championship. We have both Ferraris behind that. Not too big of a gap. Wheels of Steel in our Mercedes in P4. The Williams of Lab in P5. Then we have Kajman from Red Bull in P6. ALR Denise from Haas in P7. Oliver in the Toro Rosso comes in P8. ASF from Haas is in P9. Ryan is in the McLaren in P10. Racing Point starts in P11. Toro Rosso second car starts in P12. The Renault in second last position at P13. And the Williams did not post a time in P14. Alright. Alright, and we're off here, and Mega Mike is in the lead, followed by the two Ferraris neck and neck right behind him. Alright, into turn 1. So you can keep it tight. Remember, Hungary, very, very difficult to overtake, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very, very difficult to overtake. See this formation lap. Get the tires warm and ready. It'll be very, very, very interesting to see how the hot conditions play into things here today. Many of the drivers today will be reminded of their karting days, as this circuit is very, very much so like a karting circuit in several ways. Okay, and we are about to undergo here the first of the last 3 races of the season. Mega Mike starts at pole the same way he does in the Drivers' Championship, also leading his team Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship in second place, not behind, as we do see both of them in P2 and P3 based off of qualifying. Alright, and we see the drivers lining up to take their spots now. Good luck to all drivers. Everybody drive safe, drive smart, and have fun, most importantly. And we are off here. As you see, Wheels of Steel and the McLaren go lab all the way up to P3. The Ferrari all the way down to P14. Oh no, it's a nightmare for the Ferrari. It's a nightmare for Okiki. The Williams all the way up to P3. Mercedes up to P3 now from P4. The Williams and Mercedes fighting at it. Mega Mike with a solid lead here. Weezer still not far behind in the Mercedes on Job's tail. We see a big gap between P6 and P7. Oh no, it's a nightmare start for Okiki. We're gonna have to see if the Ferrari can make his way back up from P12 to P3. Otherwise, Ferrari can kiss the Constructors' Championship goodbye, as Red Bull in P1 and P5 would definitely take the majority of the points in the Constructors' Championship today. And let's go up with Mega Mike and see how he's doing today. He keeps it tight into turn 1. Alright. That's a purple sector for Mega Mike almost. Keeps it tight with about 5 cars tailing behind him. He has developed a sizable lead in the front, but it comes short in turn 1. Into the slight turn 4. To turn 5. We'll have to be careful into turn 6 now. This is a tricky one here. Be so precise on the brakes to get into the chicane. Oh, I believe the Mercedes has received a penalty of some sort. Oh, this one for cutting corners. As we see in P10, the Renault also suffering from a penalty. Alright, we are going to try. Oh, and we see the Renault actually locks up there, bumping into the Toro Rosso of Kachka. Oh no. And we see that Oliver has some damage here. Let's go back to leader Mega Mike. Okay, that's turn 12. Let's see how he fares in the DRS detection zone. Up ahead, if he can gain some extra speed. He's developed a decent gap. Oh, and there's a yellow flag! The Renault of Stefan. Oh no, and it's a nightmare for Renault, as people should question if there should still even be in Formula 1 after all these years. Oh, and he spins out again! Mega Mike is now coming in with a good amount of speed into turn 1. A great circuit, this is Hungary. It's so hard to overtake, and with that being said, it's going to be so hard to overtake Mega Mike in this Driver Championship, and to be able to overtake Red Bull Racing in the Constructors Championship, as they hold P1 and P5 round. We are currently on board with Mega Mike. We are actually having to see several cars here pit, as we see both Toro Rossos, the McLaren of Ryan, and the Renault of Stefan all having to pit due to some sort of probably mechanical issues or damage early on in the race. The Mercedes of the Wheels of Steel is catching up to the Ferrari, as we can see. He is closing that gap there. The 0.8 of a second. Oh, and he's pitted there. That's interesting. Interesting strategy from the Mercedes. The Mercedes is now in the pits. That means the Williams goes into P3. Let's see if you can use DRS to try and overtake here, maybe. There'll be none of that. Wow, and the Williams have jumped into P3 and P4. Ice Cream Sandwiches come up from P9 to P14, jumping 5 places. That's some great racing from the Williams team. Let's see if they can keep it together and hopefully get pole. Let's go on board with Ice Cream Sandwich. Oh, and the Toro Rosso gets a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. That cannot be good for Toro Rosso. See how he does. He's on the medium tire here. Takes a little bit of oversteer into that turn there. As he downshifts here into turn 13. Alright, and everyone seems to be pitting on these laps, so we'll see who gets the fastest speed stop, and then from there we'll go ahead. Mega Mike is cruising out of the pits, it seems, but this is where cars can really be able to make some ground, as they're all starting from the pits with not that much of an interval and at a standstill. And we're going to see if Mega Mike can continue to grow his lead as the safety car is out. Oh no! The safety car is out. Alright, unfortunately we'll have to pause racing for a second. We see the safety car is out and the McLaren of Ryan is out of this race. He has been out of this race. The McLaren of Ryan. He's out of this race, unfortunately. Mega Mike behind the safety car. We'll have to see all cars maintain a positive delta in this scenario. It's been some great racing so far today. Unfortunately, I was not able to have my co-commentator Ryan with me, and but he has crashed out of the race, so maybe hopefully he could join me now or some sort. I'm not too quite sure. But not looking like a great day for the Haas driver, ASFI Jr., as he sees himself in P12. ALR Denise would like to see himself move up these rankings, hopefully, as Haas is only 44 points behind Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship, and ALR Denise and ASFI Jr. with pole points today could see themselves move up in the driver standing ahead of Kajman in that crucial 3rd place spot in the Drivers' Championship, which would mean that Haas could potentially overtake Ferrari for the 2nd place in the Constructors' Championship and take over Kajman in 3rd place for the Drivers' Championship. This is a make or break couple of races for the American team Haas here. Let's see if they can pull through in these 2 races, and both difficult street circuits. Although Hungary is not a street circuit, it's very much designed like one. So okay, and we'll see how much more longer the safety car stays out for. Oh no, we see that actually Kachka is pitting. He's coming out of the pits still. Okay, and now as he is out of the pits, we assume that the safety car will soon be gone. We are almost halfway, 7 laps in this race. 7 laps in this race. And Mega Mike sits comfortably in first position as he has off pole. It does almost look as if nobody can challenge him in that Red Bull. Similar to Max Verstappen, as he has set the fastest ever lap time here, 1:17 in 2019. The Hungaroring has often been polarizing amongst drivers, where some drivers seem to dislike it due to its hot, difficult conditions and the inability to overtake, whereas some skilled drivers... Oh no, we see Oliver Klops comes into a collision with Okiki, the Ferrari, and the Toro Rosso. He will receive a 5-second time penalty and jump down 2 places, while Okiki will drop down further. And not too quite sure if anyone will see some damage there. I had not seen the scenario, but I would imagine that the Ferrari is not too happy, as it must perform. But the Red Bulls will be thanking their junior team there for almost giving them a slight advantage, I would say, up ahead here. Mega Mike so comfortably in the lead with the Ferrari of Job and the William of Lab behind him. Lab seems to be doing some great racing here, as he is absolutely on the tail of the Ferrari. But as we know, the Ferrari's straight line speed is so blistering. Oh, and ALR Denise moves up from P6 to P4, with Cashman dropping down to P6 from P3. It is absolutely electric. Oh my goodness, and we see Wheels of Steel now in P5 in the Mercedes. ALR Denise is now in P4, really bringing it through for Haas today. Oh, and some understeer. Wheels of Steel has overtaken him there. Oh, and it seems ALR Denise is actually AI right now, so maybe they dropped out of the lobby? I'm unsure. Oh no, and Kachka in the Toro Rosso has crashed out. He will go under, as did not finish. Okay, we see Lab here. ALR Denise now dropped into P5. He is losing speed on the Hungarian turns. Definitely. Let's see if the Wheels of Steel in Mercedes is really picking up the pace ahead of Lab in the Williams. Lab is indeed closing that gap to Job in the Ferrari. Only 0.05 of a second off of him. And as we can see later on in this race, as these pole positions really do start to space out, where the rest of the pack is in the back, led by Kajman actually, who's overtaken ALR Dennis, dropped down into P6. But some great racing from the Red Bull, as he does lead that pack of racers out ahead. Oh, nice. That's a purple sector from Mercedes, as you see him gaining slowly. ALR Denise has dropped now into P7, which will be terrible news for the Haas and their Constructors' Championship dreams, with only 3 races left in the season, and they only see themselves 44 points off of Ferrari. They need to gain some points in these upcoming races. Let's go check on the midfield, as we see Ice Cream Sandwiches right behind ALR Denise and the Williams. Williams see themselves in 4th in the Constructors' Championship with 128 points behind Haas's 314. Oh, and we do see a yellow flag, and it's is it the Racing Point? Oh, it's the Racing Point of Tansley, and he will go under as DNF. We do have a yellow flag here, ladies and gentlemen. We do have a yellow flag. And there is such a large gap in P11, almost 30 seconds to the Renault up ahead of an Okiki in the Ferrari. This is not looking good for the Scuderia today. Unfortunately, they see themselves quite far behind. Okay, racing has resumed, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, we see the gap. Oh, and we see ALR Denise is pitted. The Haas has pitted. The Haas is pitted, and maybe this is an opportunity to see the Ferrari gain some time here and hopefully work up the ranks. Ferrari needs these points today as they see P2 already. They would love to have another set of points up there on the podium. Right now, in pole are the Red Bull of Mega Mike, the Ferrari of Job, and the Williams of Lab, respectively. And we see Mercedes, who's only 3 seconds behind there, in P4. He will most definitely have to pit again, as we know that the conditions and bumpy track at the Hungaroring are not forgiving. He will need to get out on some better tires sooner than later. ALR Denise is still dropped all the way to 10th, and Okiki has almost gained about 30 seconds on the Haas driver. We will have to see if he can cover more ground. Oh, there's a yellow flag. The Renault has spun out, I believe, as he tries to regain speed. He's back on track. Let's see if he can gain some speed into the straight here. We see the Toro Rosso is slowly gaining some speed on his older predecessor, the RB. Oh, and we see the Williams has pitted. The Williams is pitting. Let's see if the strategy actually pays off. The early pit from the Williams, could this maybe help it move up a couple of positions? Oh, there's some front wing damage, unfortunately. So the Williams will drop into P11. He is 11 seconds behind the Ferrari. It will be incredibly difficult to catch the fastest car in straight line speed ahead of you when you are 11 seconds behind. Mega Mike sits comfortably in the lead, looking like he's honestly driving around his parking lot, to be quite honest. It's been quite an easy race for him as we see him composed into this first sector. Oh, and there's a yellow flag. Yellow flag. I think. Huh? It's all right. Here's the Williams again. Never mind. And all right. Oh, multiple warnings. 3-second time penalty. That is going to cost him the lead at the end, as we can see that Job is only 3.4 seconds behind him, which means that Mega Mike will have to almost make up a 0.05 of a second difference up ahead. Increasingly, he's going to have to increase his time if he's going to want to secure this pole and win this race, and also honestly secure the Drivers' Championship for Red Bull. Yes, but we are in a straight line right now, and this is where the Ferrari can really gain some straight line speed. Mega Mike has increased his lead by about, and he goes up to another about 100 seconds. 100 seconds. He's now ahead by 7 hundredths of a second here, if we include that 3-second time penalty. With 4 laps to go, we see that the tires of the Toro Rosso are indeed holding up. Mega Mike should be able to comfortably secure this, as he is almost an entire second ahead, including with that time penalty of Job. He is now 800ths of a second, 900ths of a second quicker than his Ferrari arrival. The Williams will be satisfied with this result, as they will move up by 25 points, making the gap to Haas in the Constructors' Championship a bit closer. Alright, and Mega Mike has safely gave himself a 1 second cushion, including that time penalty. That is how good drivers adapt. They don't panic, they don't lose composure, they continue to drive, and they continue to drive fast, as we see that Mega Mike has increased his lead here. It has been a great year from the Red Bulls. We can see him absolutely destroying this track, incredibly similar to the way Max Verstappen did in 2019, recording the fastest lap ever around the circuit at a 1:17. Of course, that being from the modern day circuit, that's post 2003. Of course, prior to that, before the circuit was altered, Michael Schumacher had the fastest lap time at around a 1:16.37. Let's go check with the midfield here, as we see we're on board with the Mercedes of Wheels of Steel. You know, it will be interesting to see what Mercedes do for 2021, as they have already expressed their desire to re-sign Lewis Hamilton. We also question if Valtteri Bottas will return and re-sign his contract, or we might see maybe a Sebastian Vettel appearance at Germany, although that is unlikely at Mercedes, unfortunately. Okay, and it seems that this race is about to almost wrap itself up in its entirety, with these time differences almost being solidified with 2 laps remaining. We can see if Kaiman actually seems to be gaining on Williams on the Mercedes in P4. He's only 1.8 seconds behind, as we can see maybe the Red Bull will be able to get into P4 and only add to the tally of points in the Drivers' Championship. Well, this race indeed was quite exciting. And we are going... Oh, and there is actually a yellow flag back at the end of the track, but that seems to be okay. Everything is green now. We are going to see Mega Mike comfortably take this lead and this win here as he comes into turn 14. Mega Mike will definitely be content with this race, as he will bring home another first place and another pole for Red Bull Racing. They will improve their lead in the Drivers' Championship as well. We see Mike add to one of his 8 podiums, and he has only finished outside of the podium twice this year in the Drivers' Championship, and that was in our 4th race in Germany and our 11th race in Canada. And here comes the checkered flag, and we see Mega Mike take P1. In this race, we see the Ferrari of Job taking P2, and then we see the Williams of Lab in P3, the Mercedes of Wheels of Steel in P4, the Red Bull of Cayman in P5, which is an impressive result for Red Bull, both cars in the points. The Toro Rosso of Oliver is in P6 as he sees himself in the points. The Haas of ASFI is also in the points, which will be good for Haas in the Constructors' Championship. Alright, and we'll see Mike lift his 13th first place finish of the season. It will be a great feeling for him as he had to retire the last 2 races in USA and in Abu Dhabi. Alright, and that was the Hungarian Grand Prix. We see Mega Mike in first position in the Red Bull. We see Job with a great race for Ferrari, bringing them closer to Red Bull in the Constructors' Championship. In second place, Lab bringing Williams up in the Drivers' Championship, as well as the Constructors' Championship in P3. The Mercedes of Wheels of Steel in P4. Cayman of Red Bull Racing is in P5. Toro Rosso, Haas, and Stefan in the Renault in P8 after a rocky start to beginning sees himself in the points. Alright, and we are underway in the lobby for Monaco.
Today's ever-increasing young breed of drivers, it's no surprise the top 10 oldest drivers in retro race all achieved their strange records during the 1950s and 60s. Today's drivers are more likely to have pimples than wrinkles. Expect air temperature to be somewhere in the region of 80.
Alright, and we are now just waiting. Everybody's currently in the pits in Monaco. It is a wet race today, and that will be even more interesting. The conditions here.
Many drivers call Monaco their home, but legend in the making, Charles Leclerc is a bona fide native, so I'm sure he's going to want to put on a good show today while on home soil. Keep your eyes peeled for famous faces around the paddock this weekend. The nearby Cannes Film Festival is traditionally held just before the Grand Prix, and many of Hollywood's best and brightest can't resist heading over to enjoy the race. Preparing to take the streets for the Grand Prix takes 6 weeks, and another 3 weeks to dismantle it. Pretty impressive considering the Singapore Grand Prix takes 4 months to prepare. The nation starts about now. A win here today on the streets of Monte Carlo will put drivers alongside greats such as Nicky Lauda, Michael.
Alright, and we see Oliver Comst is in the outlap right now in the Toro Rosso. As he gets his tires warm in this wet race in Monaco as he goes underway into the tunnel where you reach top speeds in Monaco. This year's F1 car can actually drive upside down in the tunnel in Monaco with no problem whatsoever, as we see him going into Sector 3 here. Let's get our qualifying HUD going. Everybody here on the intermediate tires. As we see, we're on board with Oliver in his first qualifying lap as he goes into Sector 1. And that is a purple sector from Oliver there. That is a great lap from the lad in the Toro Rosso as he takes into that tight turn 6 and 7 as he finds his way into the tunnel again. Oh, and he spins out almost, but he manages to recover. Again, this is a wet race. Hopefully he is not taking any damage there as he will be able to continue, but he has botched his qualifying lap there, unfortunately. With another 14 minutes to go, and he bumps into the wall again. He's going to have to get some heat into those tires. Oh, and we already have a yellow flag here. And now racing is resumed. Everything is green. Racing has resumed. We're on board with the Ferrari of Job right now as he goes into turn 5 here. Into the tight. Oh, slow down for speed. This is going to be a very interesting race today. The rain only getting heavier and heavier as we'll be able to see if these intermediate tires can do their job. And after wearing off after a certain amount of time, these intermediate tires will essentially become slicks on the wet track. So yeah. And we see Wheels of Steel has come out in first in the Mercedes right now. about only a couple milliseconds shy of him is the Ferrari. And we see Kaiman is now in P3 with about 2-ish seconds behind. Okiki will definitely be pulling his hair out as he is so shy of that P1 position. He will try to regain some ground hopefully here, as we see Job in the Ferrari has now entered into a P4 currently, as he is now in the tunnel in sector 2 and the speed trap detects him. Oh, and we see actually Okiki has now jumped into P1 after an electric lap. The Ferrari absolutely tearing it up on this wet race in Monaco as he gets into sector 2 here, into turn 5. That's nice and clean. Oh, and Mega Mike now has come out and set the fastest lap in 1 minute and 22 seconds. Mega Mike now has 2 laps into these intermediate tires, really getting some heat into them. Not really using an incredible amount of speed here, but he seems to be driving quite smart and quite sharp. Alright, we're on board with Mega Mike here still. Be able to see if he's able to set yet another fastest lap as he enters the speed trap of sector 2 in the tunnel. Into the chicane here. There's a yellow flag. Oh, another yellow flag. It's the Ferrari. Oh no. Oh no. It is in fact the Ferrari. Everything seems to be going smoothly now as Mega Mike still holds P1. He still does hold P1, and his teammate Kajman is not too far behind. Only a second and 300ths of a second off. With 9 minutes left to go in qualifying, Mega Mike set to be on pole again, which would be his 14th race win, as we do see a yellow flag there. Unfortunately, the Renault of Stefan, who was in fact in front of Mega Mike, seemed to undercut the turn there before the tunnel, and that indeed did create some issues for him. He will probably have to pit if possible here because he must have received some damage. We'll see the other Ferrari of Job is out for a lap right now. Let's see what he can do here. Oh, and now this might play to his advantage with the rain stopping here. We might actually see people racing slicks in the race itself, and see if the overcast and the rain continues. There's still water on the track, so these intermediates will play well once they have shed down and become slicks in their own right. see he now enters the tunnel into the speed trap. Here into turn 11 and 10, the chicane. That's nice and fast into turn 12 by the Ferrari here. Kaiman to his counterpart. Oh, and he bumps into the wall, exiting out of turn 14 as he comes into turn 16 here. And now he can activate DRS here to get some frontline speed ahead of the finish line. Oh, and there is in fact a yellow flag, I believe, here. And it was Oliver Komlos in the Toro Rosso. So we'll go back and we'll see that actually Job is now in P2 after that lap. A great lap from Job. We had the feeling here in the commentary box that he was going to set a very fast lap. Oh, and Kaiman has now come back. Wow, and reset the second place lap. So it was Okiki in P2 earlier, following with Kaiman in P3, the Red Bull, with actually Job in P5, and now we see the board has changed up entirely in this qualifying with 7 minutes left to go. Can the drivers now take advantage of these dry conditions now as Mega Mike does come off on the softs? That is a great strategic move from Mike here as he's coming out on the softs. In the next coming lap, we will see that people will be rushing to the pits to get into these soft tires, as we see Kaiman is still on track here, still setting a lap. These intermediate tires have taken 5 laps so far, so they will see somewhere. So he will get some good grip from these tires here in this scenario. Kaiman looking good into turn 12 here. There is a yellow flag. I believe it is the Renault who again has spun out. Stefan is the issue with him going back to the pit is that he's been also changing these tires. So with that, you see that he's indeed losing some grip. Quite a good amount of grip here. As we see, Kaiman goes back into the pits, and Mega Mike is the first driver to get out on the slicks, and he's going to definitely gain some time here on the straights with these slick tires as he goes into turn 8. And now as we see him enter the tunnel from turn 9, we'll see what the speed trap registers his top speed at. Oh, and that is quick. Oh, and he locks up there into the chicane. Looks quite tidy though, looks quite tidy. Seems to be on pace. This is just an out lap. This is just an out lap. He's looking great on the slicks here, Mega Mike, as he goes into turn 15. To turn 16 now. DRS has been activated. Let's see if we can get some straight line speed here. What is he going to finish the time with? Oh, and yes, Mega Mike has shed some time off of his lap time. Mega Mike is now. That was a fast sector 1. He was about 700ths of a second faster than his previous lap time, and that was indeed a purple sector from Mega Mike. He is definitely setting the qualifying pace now, as we see that almost everyone now is on their soft tires still, except for the Toro Rosso of Oliver. He chose to stay on the intermediates, and ASIF Junior is still on the medium tire, which is quite interesting. To wonder why that is the choice in this scenario. Qualifying with 3 minutes left, and we also see that now almost everybody is now chosen the soft tire, as Mike does enter the pits. So he will be content with his qualifying time, I assume. Kaiman also enters the pits, content with his qualifying time. Yes, so with 3 minutes, the drivers will be looking to maybe perform another strategy of sorts. I'm sure they've gone through track acclimatization. With 3 minutes here, it is unlikely that somebody's going to set a faster lap than Mega Mike at 1 minute and 20 seconds. Oh, and actually Kachka has now come into P2, taking over Kaiman with an incredibly fast lap in the Toro Rosso. That last, and he takes some damage there, actually bumping in on the exit in turn 2. But anyway, speaking of Kachka, he did have a great purple sector there in the last part of the race. As we'll see him take the slow turn into turn 6 and 7. As he makes his way into turn 9. See if he can get a quicker lap here, maybe even. Oh, and he locks up as he misses the chicane, and that will not help his qualifying time, as we are on board with Joe, who is pitting, and we're on board with Okiki in the Ferrari, who is currently on an out lap. We're on board with the Mercedes of Wheels of Steel here, as he comes into the first sector. A bit slow there. Oh, and he is going to need to get past these cars if he's going to. Oh, and never mind. He has set. The Mercedes is set for the qualifying pace, destroying Mega Mike's time by almost a total of 3 seconds. An absolutely electric lap from the Mercedes. And this is an interesting pole. We see Mega Mike not finish in first place, and we see him finish in second, followed by Kachka in the Toro Rosso, which would be great for Toro Rosso indeed. 40 seconds left in qualifying. Wheels of Steel, this lap will be invalidated, unfortunately, but he's already done his due diligence. Kaiman is now still on an out lap. I do believe he will not be able to make it and post another qualifying time. Wow, another yellow flag here. People are really getting desperate to make up these positions in Monaco today. As we see, Kaiman has started his lap. Will we be able to see now Mega Mike 2? If they'll be able to set faster lap times than Wheels of Steel in the Mercedes, even though they will have to make up a little bit more than 3.5 seconds. It's quite a big time difference, and it's not something easy to do on a track like Monaco, as we see, purple sector here from Mega Mike as he goes into turn 9. Wow, and Okiki has actually come out and destroyed that time with a 1:15. And now we're going towards the checkered flag, as we will see the Ferrari finish last minute. Oh, wow. And both, oh my days. Wow. Wow. We've seen the pole entirely shift in a matter of minutes. These soft tires have really come into play, as we had first started on the intermediates in this wet race, and now we see that Mega Mike has posted the time. He's back on pole. Some things do not change for a second. We did see things change hands there for a second, as we even saw the Williams. To wrap up qualifying, we see Mega Mike on pole again Behind him is the Williams of Lab, and he will be incredibly satisfied with that qualifying position. Williams will also be satisfied with P5, as he will start in places 2 and 5. Ferrari will start in places 3 and 4 respectively. Red Bull in 1 and 4. Mercedes in P7. Toro Rosso will start in 8 and 9 respectively. And Renault will start in 10th, followed by the Haas in 11th. Good luck to all the racers out there, all the drivers. Good luck to all of you. Wow. Wow, that qualifying session was absolutely electric. We started in the intermediates in the wet race, and now we got a complete dry race, and we saw the strat pay off. Mega Mike was on the softs early. He did get more heat into his tires, and as a result was able to clinch that P1 spot at the beginning, and we are at the line as we will see our formation lap here to get some heat into these tires. Drivers will also be able to get used to the lighting and the sun around the conditions of the track, get used to any blind spots, and just get oriented with this arguably one of the hardest circuits in Formula One. We are in Monaco today. It is a beautiful day in the French Riviera. We're here for some great racing as we see Mega Mike is starting on pole, followed by Lab in the Williams, Job in the Ferrari, Kaiman in the Red Bull as well. This will be good news for Red Bull as they will grow their lead hopefully in the Constructors' Championship, followed by Ice Cream Sandwich in P5, Williams in P2 and P5. This will be good for them as they also would like to see themselves jump up in the Constructors' Championship to close the gap between the American team, Haas. We see Okiki in P6 in the Ferrari. Will hopefully be looking up to join his teammate in the podium slots. Wheels of Steel actually had set a fast lap and had the fastest lap for a while until he did invalidate his lap and take some damage with the Toro Rosso of Kachka, who is in P8. Stefan in the Renault is in P9. The Haas of ASF is in P10. Haas will really be looking to get some points to try to further edge away and from the lead they've already created against Williams. And we see the Toro Rosso of Oliver in P11. And the cars now take position on the grid. Nelson PK memorably described driving around as Monaco as like riding a bicycle around your living room, which is fair. The drivers will see the tight streets, challenge their driving skills. The fastest lap here was set by Max Verstappen as we see 5 red lights, and we are underway here. We are underway as Mega Mike is still in P1 here as we go into turn 1. This is great. And oh, we already have a yellow flag, but everything seems to be fine as he goes into turn 3. We see Kaiman is great on pace here, as so is Ice Cream Sandwich. Could we see both Williams get into pole here? Mega Mike driving incredibly composed. Oh, and we do see a yellow flag. There is a yellow flag, and I do believe it is the Toro Rosso of Oliver. That is not a good start. That is not a good start. Already starting at P11 for him. And we will see Mega Mike Lab the positions have not changed at all, and that's not surprising in Monaco at all, as it's very, very hard to overtake what you have developed a good race pace. These guys are coming off a good qualifying, some fast qualifying paces, and it is a great, hot and sunny day. These tires will absolutely be sticking to the track, providing some great grip for the drivers in this scenario. We see that ASFI and Oliver have both already pitted in this scenario. ASFI is on the mediums, and so is Oliver. They will not be looking to pit again. They will be looking to use that durable medium tire. As we see, the positions again about the same. People will really be checking in with their race engineers, looking for lap times, looking for opportunities, looking for drivers ahead of them or behind them who are speeding up and slowing down. As we see Mega Mike go quite rapid into turn 12 and 13, turn 14 here. As we see this tight loop around in turn 16. As you see, he will be able to gain some speed with DRS here in the DRS zone later on. We see that Kaiman is actually on great pace right now, as he might be able to make a move on job later on, which would bring both Red Bulls into podium position. He's making some great pace indeed. As we see the drive, as we see him enter into that, and to take some understeer, unfortunately. Oh, and we see the Ferrari lock up a little bit there, ahead. This is a close battle in second, third, and fourth. We have cars only about a second's difference between each other, give or take plus or minus a couple of milliseconds here and there. As they all enter sector 2 into the upcoming chicane of turns 10 and 11. Kaiman is very close here. He is only 0.03 of a second off. He could really overtake up ahead, but the Ferrari has a lot of speed. That is a speed demon of a car indeed. And it will be very difficult. As we see Kaiman actually pits early here, which is an interesting strategy, maybe because he realized he would not be able to overtake with the pace. And now we see Okiki jump positions up into P4, the Ferrari in P3 and P4 respectively. We might have to see them race each other in this scenario, which will be very interesting. The Mercedes of Wheels of Steel jumps into P5, Stefan and Kachka jump up positions each respectively into P6 and P7. We now see that Mega Mike is still comfortably sitting in first place. The gap between him and Lab only seems to be increasing. Okiki needs to be gaining some more pace to his teammate. He does not seem to be going incredibly quick right now, as he's only going 50 miles an hour into that turn there. He will have to pick up some speed here. Seems to be yellow on fuel in this scenario. He might have to pit soon. Might have to fuel save a little bit smarter, which would indeed, explain the lack of pace he has compared to his teammate. We see the Mega Mike is only further growing his lead. Job is actually closing the gap in between him and Lab. We will hope to see that Job will pit. Job is actually taking the correct strategy here in pitting as he goes onto the mediums. That's a very quick pit stop from Ferrari. We will now see Okiki jump into P3, followed by Wheels of Steel in P4. Wondering how much the Mercedes will need to pit, because right now they seem to be fine on all fronts indeed. I think Job is taking the correct strategy here though, and pitted early in Monaco. With 15 laps remaining, we'll see almost all of these leaders have to pit at some point. Indeed. Mega Mike will be looking very much so to increase his lead quite a bit, so that when he does pit, he does have the benefits of time on his side. As we see, we're on board with Wheels of Steel right now, who's actually gaining quite a bit of pace here to get to P3. as he sees the tail of the Ferrari. Oh, and he locks up a bit there, a little bit of understeer. The Ferrari pits, and actually so does Wheels of Steel, which is the smart move there. We see Mega Mike on the mediums drop to P2. The Williams chooses to also pit. Mega Mike is now back onto the track as he retains P1, which is great news for the Red Bull. He will be able to get out of the pits comfortably, followed by Lab, and now Stefan is in P3. He's on the soft tire, 5 laps on the soft tire. This will be interesting to see when he pits and where he will end up later on. Job is actually doing great on pace, in fact, here. He's already got 1 lap into these medium tires, which will be giving him a little bit more grip. The same with Kaiman and Ice Cream Sandwich. They will both be getting more grip in this scenario than Mega Mike and Lab. Hopefully they'll be able to make some time up and move up the ranks, hopefully taking up Stefan on that soft tire there eventually. He will have to pit soon and change that soft tire about another couple laps in. He will be experiencing some understeer there. We do have a yellow flag for a second there, but everything seems to be okay. The Renault in P3 here, will he be able to maintain this pace? The Ferrari is hot on his tail. We do have a yellow flag again, and we do believe it is Oliver Combs lost again. There's a virtual safety car out. We have a virtual safety car out on this lap. This will be a good chance for the drivers to sort of assess the situation with their teams, see the times of the other drivers, see how the car is performing. Overall, see where they can gain some time. Oliver is quite behind here, unfortunately. He's had a tough day, and I do feel for him. We have all had those days at Monaco where things just do not seem to be going our way, and that is quite unfortunate. We see Kaiman's actually dropped into P8 as he's chosen to switch back onto the soft tire, hopefully trying to see the medium tire maybe not paying off for him in that short amount of time. He might take the safety car as an advantage to go back onto the soft tire, because he knows that he will not be able to get any heat into those medium tires. That might be a smart move, honestly. His teammate Mega Mike has chosen to actually stay onto the medium tire as well, as he comes into the chicane of turns 10 and 11, going into turn 12 and the start of sector 3 as goes into turn 13 and 14, 15 and 16. And there we have a yellow flag as well, and it is the Renault of Stefan has fallen into P7. Unfortunately, the soft tires did not last for long as he has had to pit. Lab is back into P2, and Job now is actually doing well in this race with great pace into P3. Okiki up into P5 as Ice Cream Sandwich has had to pit. I believe there's been some sort of damage. Lab is in a great spot at Mega Mike seems to be extending his lead here, almost going a second faster, previous to Lab, who is 2.6 seconds slower than him now, as Mega Mike is developing heat into those mediums. I'm still interested to see as to why Kaiman switched onto that soft tire as he hits the barricade coming out of the chicane on turn 11. ASFI Jr. has now received a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. As you see, Kaiman is now gaining pace onto Ice Cream Sandwich and Stefan in P6 and 7. Stefan is actually pitted and slowed down the pack. This will mean that Ice Cream Sandwich and Kaiman will go into P7. Can we see that Kaiman can maybe overtake with the DRS here as he goes right on the tail of Ice Cream Sandwich to the Williams as he go back into the first sector of the race, into turn 2, turn 3 here. We We see Kaiman is gaining on his opponent. Ice Cream Sandwich, unfortunately, is 12 seconds off of P5 though, so he's really holding up Kaiman. Kaiman is on the softs and he is a much faster pace than Ice Cream Sandwich. Unfortunately, Ice Cream Sandwich is holding it up. This is the part and parcel of being a racing driver, is that you shall not let them pass, and that is what Ice Cream Sandwich is doing in this case. But I do believe he's doing the right thing. He is racing. There's a yellow flag momentarily. Everybody must slow down, maintain a polar delta. Alright, we see Wheels of Steel actually overtakes Okiki in the Ferrari, jumping into P3. He's 10 seconds behind Lab in P2. Can he actually make up some ground here so the Mercedes can jump into P2? Ice Cream Sandwich jumps into P5 ahead of Job in the Ferrari. Job has had to pit. He's now on the medium tire again. He will now not have to pit. He will be able to comfortably sit 10 lap on that medium tire. Kaiman is now seeing that strat pay off as he is gaining onto Ice Cream Sandwich right on his tail. Only about 100 seconds off. He's now given way. He's on the outside. Will he be able to overtake here on the outside? No. Very hard to overtake in Monaco, as we do know. We see the battle between the Williams and the Mercedes. Kaiman will need to gain some more pace. He's going to have to pit at some point as well, because the soft tire will not last for too long. Okiki is still 2 seconds behind. Kaiman is now gained. He is only 300ths of a second. He takes some damage off the barricade coming into this turn as he comes into the straight line. Can he use DRS to overtake here? Oh, and he bumps into the back of Ice Cream Sandwich. Oh, and he overtakes into turn 1. That is great racing from Kaiman. The strategy has paid off. He's got some extra pace with the soft tires, and now he can build a lead and catch up to the Ferrari in P4. Job is still quite far behind Ice Cream Sandwich in P6, but he seems to be gaining quite fast on the Williams. The Williams will need to pick up the pace a bit and stick hard behind the Red Bull, as we see the Red Bull lose its rear a bit there. Which is still comfortably in third as he is 2 seconds ahead. He will see that he's not gained in a couple laps. He will need to pick up the pace a bit. He's on the medium tire. He will not need to pit anymore. Nobody in the top 3 is going to need to pit anymore unless they receive some damage, which is always possible in Monaco. So all they have to do is see the car over to the finish line and maintain the current pace they have. As we see, Okiki is gaining indeed on this lap. It is a great sector. Okiki is now of a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. You will see that he's now 13 seconds short of Wheels of Steel. He will have to gain and then gain about an extra 2 seconds on the driver in this scenario. That will be a difficult one indeed. Kaiman is 13 seconds behind as well. He will see himself slowly losing grip with these soft tires. He will have to pit sooner than later. Everyone else is on the medium tire. They will be able to stay out for most of the race. We'll see Okiki is actually gaining here, but we will have to gain another 1.8 seconds in order to negate the time penalty that he has. He'll be late on the brakes here. He's going to and he regained the car back here. He's 1.4 seconds off of Wheels of Steel. He's actually closed the gap by a second up ahead to Lab in the Williams. The Williams has been racing quite well today. Williams will be quite satisfied with P1 and P6 respectively. Putting some points on the board, getting ahead of Haas in this second last race of the season, as the one Haas car that's racing us is indeed in P9, and the second car is not a part of the race. as we see lap go into the chicane here, into turn 10, 11, and then we see that also into turn 12. Then 13, 16, 15, as we see him go into turn 18 here, and he will be able to use DRS to gain some time on the race leader Mega Mike. As we are into the last 6 laps, Mike is sitting comfortably in front. Those medium tires offering him a great amount of grip as he is 8 laps in. Ice Cream Sandwich is now 9 laps in on those medium tires, so he should be able to be gaining a good amount of pace on Kaiman, who's actually quite fast right now on the soft tire, but this will only be, we will only see this later if the soft tire gives out at some point. Okiki is a second within. He will have to gain another 3 seconds after that to negate his time penalty, unfortunately. The Ferrari is quick in the straight line, but the DAS of the Mercedes will help it in the sharp corners in the street circuit of Monaco. Okiki is a second and 100th of a second behind as they go into turns 10 and 11 of the chicane. Now into turn 12, he must keep this clean and fast as he's understeers a little bit, but correcting himself very well, very fast into turns 13 and 14. As we go into turn 18 here, can he overtake with DRS if he keeps it in a straight line well? Unfortunately, the distance is a little bit too much to maintain that, as the lead is only 0.8 of a second off. He must maintain this pace in order to have a chance of overtaking in that DRS zone on the next lap. He closes the gap to 7 and 80 hundredths of a second. He seems to be racing quite fast here as we see the Mercedes with a bit of an understeer into this into turn 6 and 7. So go into turn 8 here. The straight line of the Ferrari will benefit from the speed here, as he can be late on the brakes here into the chicane as well to maybe gain some extra follow-through speed on the chicane. As we see the Ferrari lock up a little bit here, but that's no worries. He's regained control of the car. He's only 0.03 of a second off, and the Ferrari is incredibly quick through these parts of the race here, as he is right on the tail of the Mercedes. As we go in to turn 19 here, can he get into the right space of the DRS zone? I think he is just outside, so he will not be able to overtake third place in this case, but he will get closer and closer as he almost hits the wall there. And we see Wheels of Steel also driving a great race, being able to maintain a 10-second gap. You know, Monaco is all about race pace and getting the car over the line in one piece. Just making sure that you hold your place and you are racing at a good pace, making sure that your opponent is not gaining on you then by more than like 2 or 3/10 of a second. As you see, Kaiman still on the soft tires here. Actually, he's not gaining at all. To Okiki in 4th place. He will actually see that time drop off, and we see that happening now as Ice Cream Sandwich is going to be gaining. Unfortunately, he might not have the race pace that he wants to, although having 12 laps in the medium tire. Ferrari is very fast as he almost loses the rear there, but the Mercedes is very, very fast into the tight corners of the turns 13 and 14 as we are into turn 18 here, and the Ferrari loses rear bed and he hits the wall and receives a little bit of damage, I would assume. And now we're in the DRS zone. As we can see, he's slowly losing time out, but the Wheels of Steel is only just gaining 2 lap in front, as Mega Mike has a huge 10-second lead. I don't think we'll see that shift, so we can ignore the race leader for now. Let's try to focus on you know, the battle for 3rd and 4th and the midfield. In this case, Kachka, honestly, is catching up in P9 to ASFI Junior, who is in P8, who's about 25 seconds off his counterpart. Mega Mike is still in the lead here, as we see Honestly, the race time's not quite shifting much here. Let's go on board with Ice Cream Sandwich to see if he can maybe gain on climate, but he is low on fuel. As you can see, he is in the yellow. His tires 13 laps in. He's going to be trying to save fuel and be using DRS in those zones as much as possible. And Kaiman has a 3-second time penalty, which means that Ice Cream Sandwich could benefit from that if he can increase his race pace by just 5 seconds in the last couple laps, which will be very, very difficult to do. Wheels of Steel has cut the deficit by about 1.5 seconds to Lab. It was a 10-second difference a couple laps ago, and now he is only 8.5 seconds shy of the Williams ahead with the same engine. Paddy Lowe will be quite proud of the cars that he's produced. The Williams is in P2 and the Mercedes is in P3. As you see, the Mercedes lose a bit of speed there, but indeed the Williams of Lab is really not going incredibly fast, as we can see. Okiki is actually now closer to Wheels of Steel. He honestly could get, if he gets through this sector, honestly, a little bit faster than Wheels of Steel, as he's almost, you can see the brake lights there. Might be able to overtake on DRS if he can stay tighter to this corner into turn 19. Can he get the DRS off in a nice area? He is just out of range, unfortunately. He is very, very close to Wheels of Steel as he hits the curb on the exit of turn 1 as we go into turn 2 here. Now into turn 3. Tight into turn 4. We'll see Okiki is gaining pace on Wheels of Steel here. Only 0.5 seconds as we go into turn 6. That slow turn. Into turn 7, stay tight on the curb here. Stay wide. Stay tight into turn 8. Go into turn 9. This is where the Ferrari has the advantage over the Mercedes. As you can see, he is gaining speed. He's gained almost a second there as they go into the chicane. Oh, and he can stay tight there. Oh, and he's right on the heels of the Mercedes on the second to last lap. Oh, and he hits the wall. They're losing a bit of pace. Can he gain some pace back here? Yes, as we go into turns 13 and 14. Oh, and he hits the wall there, the Ferrari. Oh no, and he's into turn 18 here. And we get to turn 19. Can the Ferrari get into the DRS zone? He is a little bit out of reach. If he had not hit the wall there, I'm sure he would have been able to get into the DRS zone. As we see now, we are on the last lap of the race, in the second last race of the season. We will see Mega Mike take his 13th pole of this season, his third back-to-back pole. As we see, actually Okiki has gained here a bit, but unfortunately he does have that time penalty of 3 seconds, so that will not make much of a difference in this scenario, unless he's able to somehow gain 3 seconds on Wheels of Steel here. He locks up a bit there on the chicane, is able to, oh no, and he spins out, trying to overtake there. He should be okay though, as the gap between him and the car behind is about 16 seconds. Okiki really taking, he must bring the car home in one piece. You must remember the priority of the race. He is still in P4, he's still in the points, and now he's will be able to bring the car over the checkered flag. And that is it. We see Mega Mike take P1. Lab in the Williams takes Lab in the Williams does take P2. this was indeed a great race from Monaco. We will see how this will affect the last race season. We see Mega Mike with his 12th first place finish of the season after 2 back-to-back retirements. We see 2 back-to-back wins in Hungary and Monaco for the driver that leads his team to the Constructors' Championship and leads the driver standings. It's been a great afternoon of racing from Monaco. Signing off.